Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super stoked and happy to have my man Austin Maginnis in with us today. Austin not only has gone through the activation method, also an active member in the Brotherhood community that we run as well. So Austin, thanks so much for being with us.
No problem, Doug. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just chatting with you. You're in one of your commercial real estate locations, but we'll get into that and maybe in a little bit later. So Austin, just to fill the guys that are watching this in a little bit about you, let's talk a little bit about your journey and what got you here. Can you describe a little bit on how you started? Where were you before you found the Powerful Man?
Yeah, before I found the Powerful Man, it's funny how Facebook targets you for obviously things that you're interested in. Obviously, you guys do a good job marketing with that, but everything that I read on the ad that came across my page that day was basically literally like I felt like I was being talked to personally from the ad. It was I remember one of the things talked about like marriage counseling not working. Various other things that all just was like, yeah, that's the exact situation I'm in. It talked about, obviously being business owners, specific to business owners. And at the time, everything I had been kind of trying wasn't really working out. And I was really after the system, something that had been kind of proven, something that was duplicatable that other men were going through. And everything that you guys had in that ad really resonated with me and booked a call. And, basically Tim kind of not necessarily regurgitating what the ad said, but just confirming everything else that other guys have been going through, and his stories that he was able to share with me obviously was put me right back to where I was when I read that ad. That like, yeah, this is exactly kind of what I've been looking for, and haven't looked back. So glad I did it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad because I got a chance to meet you and see your journey going through this, and we'll talk about where you are today. But if you can think back for a second on that, that conversation you had with Tim, right? When
Mhm.
'cause it is just a conversation, right? It's kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
who are you? What's going on? Going through there. What were some of your thoughts in your head, the hesitancies that you might have had in moving forward, or thinking that this might be a good fit for you?
I honestly was kind of at my wit's end, so I don't really think I had any hesitancy. I knew I was going to do something. I had, I had looked at some other programs, but none of them were catered in a way that your guys's was in relation. And Tim even broke down some of the basic steps. The five agonies talked about, living from, you know, outside. Most people living that outside in life.
Hmm.
That's exactly what I was doing. I was always chasing the dollar bill, chasing business and wealth first, and putting my health and myself last, and even the relationship. And so, um, I knew when he was speaking those things to me, I was like, this is what I got to do. It's right for my family. It's right for my relationship, and I was willing to put forth money for that because I didn't want to lose a relationship. I didn't want to keep falling down that path, so to speak. And yeah, I think it was pretty blatant to me. I didn't necessarily have any hesitancies towards it at all, honestly.
Yeah, which was awesome, and it was kind of funny. You and I were joking a little bit offline about that, and we could talk about that supplement. All of a sudden, I got a package to
Yeah.
my house, the first time ever, and a supplement bottle came in from you, which was
Yeah, that was how I was rolling at the time. So kind of had to do that.
yeah. Well, guys come up with
Do that.
alternative payment methods now, but you're the first one I've experienced, which was great. You're right. And I had
That's
forgotten
funny.
about it, which was funny. So when I opened it up, I'm like, what is?
Yeah, thought
People
it was
said it was.
vitamins, and it wasn't.
It wasn't, no. So yeah, you made your payment alternatively, going through. So going through that process, obviously you're going through the activation method, and you're going through it, and you decide to step in and raise your hand and go into the Brotherhood. What it shifted for you at that time after going through the program?
I think I'd been through enough things in my life to where it's like I just knew without the coaching and without the accountability, and I'm still not perfect even today. There's, I miss plenty of calls, but going back and being able to watch them on repeat is still so beneficial. And without, the guys there just kind of, banding together, I don't think I would be, without that group, I wouldn't be anywhere where I am today. So, um, for me, the brotherhood was just a continuation of the path I was already on. I liked the changes I was making, even though some of them were difficult. Like you hit challenges and it can set you feel like it might be a setback, but in reality, it was just something that needed to happen to continue to have growth.
Mm-hmm.
Having plenty of those moments, they were happening pretty quickly, and I just wanted them to continue to get to a point where things were kind of that fuck yeah for me, and just wanted to keep the growth going, and I didn't want to stop, and so I just dedicated to doing that. Just a choice, man.
It is all a choice, right? I always talk about choose your hard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Being in a marriage that's not working is hard. Getting out of it is hard, but the rewards are different, right? Staying in one that's not working is hard, but there's not really a good reward. The reward, I guess, is divorce or being miserable. But working on it as you did. Let's talk about some of the shifts as you're going through the activation method. What are some of the tangible kind of outcomes that you witnessed within your relationship, your business, or yourself?
Really focusing on myself first and foremost. That was kind of what's preached, right? And so just having that morning routine, that alpha rise and shine is really kind of important, and still do that today. I've actually, I don't necessarily work out in the mornings like I was. I've found a time where it's better for me in the afternoons, but I still get up and take a walk, get some reading in. That just fills your cup to start your day. And then, I got two girls. My wife's up at 4 a.m. because she teaches fitness in the morning. So like, in the past, prior to the activation method, I mean, I would sleep in until, basically 6:30, 7 o'clock, when either my kids woke me up or when my wife got home. And, a wife coming home to that, especially, like she's getting home and then I would wake up and basically get ready and go to work. And so that was putting her in a very much a masculine state. And so really for me, just going through that process and understanding, me getting up and filling my cup and doing something active and getting after it obviously shows her that I'm a winner, shows my kids that I'm a winner. And then by the time that, she gets home, it's like my day's already started with her. I was up, I'm up at 4 o'clock drinking coffee with her most days. There's certain nights where I'm out, out late doing things business related if I have to. And so those nights or those next mornings are difficult to get up at 4 a.m. if I'm going to bed at midnight or 1. So there's still days where I'm not, but the days that I do, it just feels different, feels right. And just starts your day off with a bang. And then it just shows your wife and your kids that you're a winner. And there's nothing better than watching your daughter come down and she wants to hop on the treadmill with me, or she wants to get a little active with me with some weights. She wants to put on, punching gloves, and yeah, it's just cool, to see that with your kids too. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the role model, right? Kids will repeat whatever you do, whether it's a good pattern or a negative one. Whether it's, if they see you and your wife and you're fighting and there's distance, they're going to say that, well, that's what a relationship is. Mm-hmm. You guys are close and you're doing things together, and not that it always has to be perfect, but that's what they're going to mimic. Right. And they always say, I have a daughter too. I have a son and a daughter. And something that, people talk about a lot, but it really resonates with me, and let me know if it's true for you, in your mind, is that your daughter will end up marrying a man just like you. Right.
Yeah.
So you want that man to be your daughter marries.
Exactly. I think about that all the time, man.
That's what's motivating, right? It's motivating to step your game up and be that guy. For a lot of us as business leaders like yourself, I mean, you're in multiple businesses, and you're conquering them all, it seems like, and it seems like you're stepping into more when we were talking offline. But the stresses of business owners are very different. You're managing people, you're managing, P&Ls and, money fluctuations, cash flow, et cetera. And then to come home, a lot of guys abdicate that responsibility to their wife, where their wife has to then go into the masculine, right?
Exactly.
Which we call deactivated, right? You're deactivated at that point. It's no fault of your own. It's just what's taught to society.
Yes.
The nice guy syndrome, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was where I was, man.
Yeah. Well, and I was there too. So I can relate. And it's a pattern, right? A lot of us guys go in there and we start trying to make it better. And you know,
Yeah.
trying
I
to get.
still struggle with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all do. It's what's taught, and it's been taught for so long. It's reconditioned. So fast forwarding to today, right? Has there been a shift in your relationship with your wife?
Absolutely. I think, it's hard to necessarily pinpoint one event or one conversation. It's been just this, consistent, persistent effort that's just compounded over time. And I'm not saying, that it's anywhere close to perfect, but I think, Valentine's Day just passed, and I remember writing my Valentine's Day card, to my wife, which I always write a pretty lengthy one. And so, in the past, it's, kind of always been more of this apologetic tone, or some sort of like, things are going to get better. I promise to, do this, that, and the other. And I remember writing it last year, and kind of just at that time really being fed up and being like, this is going to be the year that I'm going to just make these changes, because I'm sick and tired of having to write every year. I'm writing something that's just like almost apologetic, sorry for not being around, sorry for, something I did, etc. And that was around that time is when I found the Powerful Man and the activation method, and then started, I think, in early June, after calls with Tim and going through your guys' process on the beginning. And then it just took me a while to find it. But then fast forward to this past Valentine's Day, and writing, something with a different tone, and then getting a card from my wife that also kind of vibed with that same tonality, where it's like, finally feel like, things are on the up. And I remember her card saying, we're definitely not going to be, through the downs, because those will, you're always going to have those. But her just kind of embracing it too, after what we've been through, is just kind of awesome. And yeah, it was just kind of a surreal feeling, of having put in so much time, almost a full year towards, redirecting myself and my relationship. To hear that from her was just gratifying, and a testament to your guys' program as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're warming my heart over here, because it's just so awesome. This is what I told you. It's kind of like my legacy work, so to speak, in this part of my life. And it's one thing when you focus on yourself and things change for you. You're like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, my kids, I can see them changing too. They're doing, my daughters, they're doing stuff. They're coming down to join me. They want to be around daddy, right? But then when your partner solidifies that without you asking and delivers, now you can start seeing tangible changes and results towards the direction. That's where that's where it really means it to me, right? And I know that
Sure.
because, again, the way I relate so much is I've been there, right? I went down this. I did marital counseling, different counselors, right? Oh, let's try somebody else. Maybe that'll be better.
Yeah.
Oh, and you walk
My
out
wife,
of the counseling room just pissed, right? Just mad at each
exactly.
other.
My wife didn't even want to do marriage counseling, which, in her mind, it wasn't necessarily something that she needed to fix. It was me that needed fixing. And so I actually did the marriage counseling for a while on my own, with a marriage coach that I was, paying decent amount of money for. And then I just felt like it was more, like me airing out my laundry kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And her like sending me a summary email afterwards of like, you might think about doing XYZ instead of, ABC. And it's just like, there was no accountability. It was just like, almost suggestive. And then it just never got me anywhere.
Yep.
So, and my wife too, she's a business owner as well. So she's very, she's a badass. She teaches fitness. She kicks people's butts every day, and she loves doing it. So it's just like she's in this masculine mode, you know, all day, because she's teaching classes in the morning, and then she's an entrepreneur and a stay-at-home mom, because she's at home with the kids, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old too, throughout the day while I'm at work. I come back, we high five one more time, and she goes out for a night class, and she is her business. So for her being in that masculine role all day, at the end of the day, I had never realized it until, being in the activation method, is that she's just in her masculine all day, and I got to find a way to help lead her out of that. And I didn't have any tools in my tool belt, and that's where you guys came in and helped me, one, realize it, and then two, give me the tools to help take care of the problem. And I'm still, it's a challenge every day. Every day starts over.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You just got to keep at it. But once you have those tools in your tool belt, you just keep them sharp and keep working at it.
What's the thing? It's like business, right? Business never becomes easy because you're always achieving more, and you're going to do the same thing in your relationship, right? You and your wife will continue to go to new levels of intimacy, connectiveness through your relationship as you go through it, which you're going to hit more obstacles. I liken it to, I moved specifically to a mountain town. So I live by a mountain. You hike to the peak of one mountain, you're like, cool, I made it. And then as soon as you get to that peak, you look and there's another mountain peak you couldn't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go down the valley to go back up the peak. And it's the same thing in
Exactly.
relationships. The difference, you said you got the tool belt, right? Now you got the tools to make the ascent. Whereas before, a lot of us just hang out in that valley and be like, oh man, I'm not going back up. That was too much of a struggle last time. I'm going to kick it down here and go through it. Another thing
people out there doing that.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people, and they, guys, you get stuck in that nice guy role where you just feel fine, this is just the way it's going to be. Right.
Yep.
I'm either going to get my needs met outside of the relationship with another woman, or I'm just going to submit. I'm going to submit. I'm going to stay deactivated, and I'm going to be in this relationship, and it's just going to be sexless. Maybe I'll get the token sex if I get my wife drunk enough or whatever it is, but it's never going to be that, the headboard banging stuff that we're all looking for at the end of the day. But there's an alternative, as you know now, right? There's an alternative to that where you can have it. And it's not always roses, like you said. My wife and I still get into it from time to time. But they're fast, right? They're a lot quicker to get out of it. You recognize it, and then you just laugh, and then you can have the makeup sex. And that's a much better road than staying in that valley. So another thing you talk about, which is also something I think a lot of guys can realize, is, you chose to marry a very strong woman, right? I did too. And a lot of our guys do. And that's because a lot of guys that are in the program are really strong men. And really strong women need a stronger man to be with. So they've chosen that, right, to be there. And I think that's something that's really interesting for a lot of guys to also realize, that if you are with a strong woman and you slip into the nice guy role, it's a lot harder for her, right, in that sense. Because, the truth is she needs a strong guy to pull her up. And you are that guy. She chose you to be that, which is awesome. So Austin, fast forwarding again today. I know you're on a time limit, so I appreciate your being here. So now marriage is doing better, right? Kids are great, family life. Sounds like self is going well. Has any of this bled over into your business?
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I mean, a lot of things with the business, like you mentioned, just the philosophy is the same, success principles are the same. One thing with the Brotherhood, especially after the Alpha Reset, which was over Zoom, which everyone, that you could be looking at that as a negative, but honestly, you take from it positive. And there was a moment, during that time where I wasn't showing up, and it took me a little bit too to step up, being surrounded by a lot of other men like that. And I remember in one of the breakout sessions, we kind of set some goals, more of those BHAG type goals. And then someone said, well, if that's your 3-year goal, why can't you make it your 1-year goal? It's kind of that Parkinson's law kind of a thing, where you fill up, if you say you're going to get it done in 3 years, you tend to wait till, the second year and 9th month before you really started. You could have actually gotten done in 3 months instead of 3 years.
Yep.
So I looked at some of the goals, and I saw some of the business goals where it was like, I wanted to get rid of. So my wife and I used to own a gym together. She has her fitness studio business, which is more group fitness class based. And then we bought a gym when we bought some real estate. It was it's a long story on how we acquired it, and how we leveraged those assets for construction loan and stuff. So we were kind of stuck with that business, and it was never really performing. It was kind of a drain on our finances, and really a drain on my wife's business, which just made me look like an ass because it was my idea for wanting to do it. So, I put on my goals to get rid of the gym in a year, over the next year, get rid of it. And basically, I don't even know, like once I made that decision and started dwelling on that and having thought towards it, people started basically calling in, and started to, think of ways on how we could split the gym up, maybe, decrease the size. My construction business might be able to take half, this, that, and the other. I mean, I went through round and round with numerous people before that were all really tire kickers. And then at that point, when I made the decision, it's almost like things just started happening for me and falling into place. And it was literally within 4 months that I was able to basically cut the gym off the books. I think I made that decision in like July, maybe even August. And by November, I had the gym off my books. And it was a pretty quick process once the decision was made. And then that right there obviously flipped our finances around from just a business standpoint. And then, also another place for my construction company to be able to grow as well. And then, just having that mentality that TPM has given me, as well as other ventures that I've had and other, life experiences I've had that have given me that mentality too. And just applying that towards the business. It's all the same. Success principles are all the same, really.
Yeah, no, they are. And then once, what I found, I don't know if it's true for you, but, I've owned many businesses at this point in my life. And there's one consistency is the business would always grow only as far as the leader grows.
Yep.
Right? And
I hear that quite often.
Yeah, the buck stopped here, so to speak. And, as much as in my youth, I wanted to blame all the external factors. The truth was, until I started really growing and taking care of the businesses, didn't grow either. They grow, burn down, and this steady thing until I started growing.
Yeah. I see that in my businesses too. There's been times I can think of various instances in my past where like the business did stop growing, and it was kind of a make it or break it type of a point, like, bankruptcy, even in the rear view. And so having to figure something out, winners will find a way. And then also I think your association too has a big component to that, right? You're a makeup of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so, I spend time with a lot of people in the business realm. I have a network marketing business as well that I get around some winners in, some people that have a great impact on my life, more, just like the guys in TPM, more from a spiritual, business, as well as just personal winning at your personal life. It's all the same. And so I surround myself, and I saw TPM as that opportunity too, to get around more winners. It's an association of other businessmen as well. And, the coaches have all done the work and then some. And so just getting around people that have been through those, low points, that's somebody that I can listen to and buy into, because you've been there, done that, where, listening to my, a marriage counselor doesn't necessarily do that for you, especially when, the marriage counselor is of opposite sex and really think from a man's perspective either. And so, those are the valuable things that I saw, when I started the activation method. And then, like you said, just transitions into other aspects and other areas of your life.
No, it does. Well, we don't talk about the network very often, but you and I were talking about it a little offline, is, the guys that are in the Brotherhood or the Inner Circle and some of the other programs. I mean, it's guys like yourself, top-notch guys from all walks of life and industries. The thing they have in common is every guy that goes into the program is looking to better themselves in order to better their families, right? As well. They're just solid guys. They'll jump on a call with you at a drop of a hat. And, we were talking a couple real estate, guys that are very real estate moguls that are really good in real estate. We were talking about them and investments, and guys just freely exchange knowledge, information in their networks. And that's almost like a byproduct, right, of the program.
Absolutely. You share a story and somebody else just comments like, I relate to that so much. And then I'll shoot them a message and be like, dude, I wouldn't mind hopping on a call and, just chatting about your experience. And before you know it, you're helping each other out. And there's been so many instances. I almost look forward to, no offense, Doug, but I look forward to some of those more personal calls, because, just I look at you, Doug, and I look at Tim and Arthur. You guys are like, the Godfathers, man. I come to you when I'm in a crisis, but it's nice to hear somebody else's perspective on, and they always edify you guys too. They're like, oh man, I talked to Franco, or I talked to Arthur, or I talked to Doug or Tim. And it's just like, yeah, I need to talk to them too, but I wanted to talk to you first, but it's to hear their stories and they've been through the battle too. So it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, and it's a group of good guys. And as somebody who loves to network with people, I always and if I ever do an introduction, like good people should just know good people, right?
Yep.
And these good people happen to be very successful business leaders, right? It just happens to be their skill set, which is not a bad one to have at the end of the day.
Well, you are who you attract too, right? So that kind of speaks, that's a testament to you and Tim and Arthur and all the other leaders too that you guys have in the inner circle as well, because you guys have attracted a good group of dudes.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's very generous of you to say. In closing, and we could talk about this forever. If there's somebody watching this right now who is in your situation previous, they read the ad or they're seeing this on YouTube or listening to it on podcast or what have you, and they're sitting on the fence and they're kind of going, I don't know, maybe this isn't the right time. I'm not sure if this is going to work for me. What would you say to them?
I think, from my perspective, in my story, everyone's story is different, but I was doing so much already. I mean, I teach at a local university full time. I have a construction business. I do real estate, network marketing, family, wife, 2 kids. I was doing goalie coaching. I'm a youth hockey goalie coach too. I had a ton on my plate already. And, to add something to that could be seen as oh, I don't have time for that. But in my opinion, I had to get my mind right. In order for me to, grow in my relationship and grow as an individual. I saw this as an investment in my, not just in my relationship, but more so in myself, where all these other things I was doing weren't really investments, if you will. Real estate's, an investment of your money, but what are you doing with your time? And I've noticed that in, my network marketing business as well. It's just the investment of time is almost more valuable than investments of money sometimes. And, so I think, most people can look at it and be like, oh, I don't have time for that. But if you don't have time now, when do you have time? If you don't make the choice now, when will you? And, making the choice is just step one, and then following that up with action. And, I look back now and I think you guys have talked about it too. It's in order to focus, sometimes you need to eliminate distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, it was just eliminate, I realized I was just way capable of doing more. Staying before I would get 8 hours of sleep, and now I go on 5 most nights, and it's just I get an extra 3 hours of something during the day, and it's just you don't realize what your body and your mind are capable of, and everyone out there is capable of more, no matter how full your plate is. And sometimes, even if your plate is really full, you got to figure out a way to eliminate some distractions. And for me, this is my last year doing goalie coaching. I've been able to, I used to have a golf product that I had a patent on. It never made me money either. Getting rid of that distraction, setting the goal to get rid of the gym, which is also a distraction, and just really getting laser focused on what you really want in life. And then finding the modalities and the businesses that are actually all in alignment with that vision. And, you guys have everybody at TPM has really helped clarify that for me, as well as other mentors in my life. So, if you have one mentor say it, it's one thing, but when you have 3 to 5 of your mentors all kind of saying and preaching the same thing, it's man, I need to start eliminating some shit. And I figured out, and that's really what I've been doing this last year, which is giving me more time with the kids and the wife. So, just you're capable of more. If you're sitting on the fence thinking about it, you're capable of more. And sometimes you just need to figure out a way to eliminate distractions.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't say it better myself. When you start filling your own cup up as well, and you eliminate the problems at home, your energy frees up, and your ability to take on more frees up, because that was weighing on you, and so much, at least it was for me. And we hear it so much from the guys, that all of a sudden these new opportunities just open up wide for you, and the clarity comes.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Austin, as always, just been such an honor to see your journey. And we made a mistake. You were at the powerful reboot we did.
That was
your alpha reset is still coming. I'm going to be there now that COVID is going to be, when it's gone, it's going to be July, I think, is the first opportunity for you. I'm going to make sure I'm there because that's going to be an amazing experience to see you. I look forward to it. I do too, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
No problem, Doug. Thank you. It's a pleasure.